Yeah, except that right after the war, not after the war, right after 9/11, polls showed right after 9/11 that only 3% of the American people believed that Iraq or Hussein was involved, and yet Bush and his people started working on them, and within months, 75% believed that Hussein was involved in 9/11, and we know he wasn't. Now, who brought about that 3% to 75%? It wasn't you or I or Danny DeVito. It was what Bush and his people did to terrify this nation into giving him support to go to war. I have much more evidence in the book, like the phony Niger incident.
Yeah.
He had been told over and over and over again, it's bogus, it's phony, do not use it in your speech. And he gets up there in his State of the Union speech in 2003 and suggests to the American public that Hussein is trying to get uranium, which can be used for nuclear.
But he's got a fall
fuel.
guy. He's got Hadley says, "Oh, that's my fault. I made a mistake." He's got a fall guy for everything.
Yeah, well, whether he'll have a fall guy when he's no longer president, whether these people are willing to commit perjury for him, do you think Manning is going to get on the witness stand and say, "Well, I really didn't mean to say that. George Bush didn't do that"? Well, Mr. Manning, in other words, he's willing to commit perjury for George Bush. Well, Mr. Manning, then why did you prepare this
Why did you write it
and
up?
give it to Blair, who was present at the meeting?
All right, one more quick question. This deserves a longer conversation with our listeners. We don't often do repeats or come back, but I'm going to ask you to come back on the show and spend some time after your initial press thing, just whenever you have a chance. But one question, why do you believe George Bush wanted this war so badly?
Well, no one knows the answer to that. I can tell you why he said he went to war. He said he went to war because Hussein was an imminent threat to the security of this country.
These regimes pose a grave and growing danger.
It is also a danger that is gathering momentum, and it simply makes no sense to wait any longer.
It could have a nuclear weapon in less than a year. We'll be deliberate, yet time is not on our side.
As President Bush has said, time is not on our side.
An urgent threat to America.
We can't wait for a nuclear or chemical or biological attack to go and find the people who did it.
We cannot wait for the final proof, the smoking gun that could come in the form of a mushroom cloud.
We don't want the smoking gun to be a mushroom cloud.
I will not wait on events while dangers gather. I will not stand by as peril draws closer and closer.
But why he did it, people have talked about oil, politics,
psychodynamics, competition with his daddy.
A Bush family drama where he's trying to one-up his father. We don't know that. I can tell you this, that motive is not an element of the corpus delicti of any crime, including murder. I've put people on death row without knowing precisely why they did it. All I knew is that they had killed the victim, and they had no legal justification for what they did. So whatever his motive was, it was no good. But the motive he told us was that Hussein had weapons of mass destruction, so therefore we had to go in there to protect ourselves in self-defense. Yeah. But what his real motive was, I can't tell you that, but it's not necessary for any prosecutor to prove that.
He's a best-selling author and a battle-scarred veteran prosecutor. The book is called The Prosecution of George W. Bush for Murder. Vincent Bugliosi, thank you, sir. Hold on 1 second so my producer Dave can talk to you. We need you back on this show.
Thank you, Charles. I really appreciate it.
All right, Vincent Bugliosi, and the new one probably be a bestseller as well, The Prosecution of George W. Bush for Murder. It is a pretty good compendium of all. I mean, there's nothing in here, really. There's not a revelation in here that you didn't know if you'd listened to this show. There wasn't one in there. He said, "Well, I think it's the first time on the mainstream media that anybody ever knew the one about whatever it was about cooking up a pretext for the war." They were talking about. We talked about it many times back at the time that they wanted to fly a U-2 reconnaissance aircraft. They were going to paint it in the colors of a U-2 aircraft in the hopes that Saddam Hussein would do something, and then an American plane had been fired upon, and that gives us the excuse we need for a war. I mean, they were just baiting for this war. They were salivating for the war, because then your numbers go up, and you find a little country, you kick their ass, and then your numbers go up, and you can get your whole policy through. Good God, people. I've been telling you, they need to be frog marched out of the White House, all of them. He didn't even deal with Cheney. You read the Scott McCollum book, and Cheney's got to be, maybe it can be tag team prosecution, just like they gave the Bobbsey twins tag team testimony to the 9/11 Commission, not under oath. Anyway, Vincent Bugliosi, we'll see if we can get him back on the show very soon, spend some more time, and to take your calls about it as well.
For Anti-War Radio on antiwar.com, I'm Charles Goyette.
There are a lot of people who lie and get away with it. And that we will in fact find weapons or evidence of weapons programs that are conclusive.
I don't think we'll discover anything myself.
It appears that there were not weapons of mass destruction there.
You said you knew where they were.
I did not.
We know where they are. They're in the area around Tikrit and Baghdad and east, west, south, and north.
Well, first of all, I haven't lied.
There are a lot of people who lie and get away with it.
Talking about lies and your allegation that there was bulletproof evidence of ties between Al-Qaeda and Iraq. Was that a lie?
Intelligence gathered by this and other governments leaves no doubt that the Iraqi regime continues to possess and conceal some of the most lethal weapons ever devised.
Our people are going to find out the truth, and the truth will say that this intelligence is good intelligence, no doubt in my mind.
I don't know anybody that I can think of who has contended that the Iraqis had nuclear weapons.
And we believe he has, in fact, reconstituted nuclear weapons.
Saddam Hussein is determined to get his hands on a nuclear bomb.
We cannot wait for the final proof.
He's got him. He's got him.
The smoking gun.
He's got him.
That could come in the form of a mushroom cloud.
Colin Powell didn't lie.
My colleagues, every statement I make today is backed up by sources, solid sources. These are not assertions. What we're giving you are facts and conclusions based on solid intelligence.
He has not developed any significant capability with respect to weapons of mass destruction. He is unable to project conventional power against his neighbors.
Our people are going to find out the truth.
I have not suggested there's a connection between Iraq and the 9/11.
You have said in the past that it was, quote, pretty well confirmed.
No, I never said that.
Okay. I think that is...
That's absolutely not. What I said was, it's been pretty well confirmed that he did go to Prague and he did meet with a senior official of the Iraqi intelligence service.
Saddam Hussein aids and protects terrorists, including members of Al-Qaeda. Secretly and without fingerprints, he could provide one of his hidden weapons to terrorists or help them develop their own. What did Iraq have to do with what?
The attack on the World Trade Center.
Nothing.
He said there were three main reasons for going to war in Iraq. Weapons of mass destruction.
Saddam Hussein has gone to elaborate lengths, spent enormous sums, taken great risks to build and keep weapons of mass destruction.
The claim that Iraq was sponsoring terrorists who would have attacked us on 9/11.
Before September the 11th, many in the world believed that Saddam Hussein could be contained.
And that Iraq had purchased nuclear materials from Niger.
The regime is seeking a nuclear bomb.
All three of those turned out to be false.
First, just if I might correct a misperception, I don't think we ever said, at least I know I didn't say, that there was a direct connection between September the 11th and Saddam Hussein.
Who does the president think he's effing kidding?
Of course, it was information that was mistaken.
There are a lot of people who lie and get away with it.
Those weapons of mass destruction got to be somewhere. Nope, no weapons over there. Maybe under here.
When you have a precedent set like that, and you have somebody, George Tenet, acknowledging in his book that he knew that the administration was deceiving the American people into a situation that is murdering young men and women from this country and others, that George Tenet and Dick Cheney and Condoleezza Rice and George Bush et al. Should be in fucking jail.
I'm mad as hell, but I'm not going to take this anymore.
You've got to figure out what to do with all of the debris.
How about you? fascist done! Old lies, more lies, still lies, stop the lies, stop the war!
Andrew Todd Jr.
It is important